How to use a key. The flowchart is great because it's easy. You just start here and you answer yes/no questions. It's not confusing at all. But the problem with trying to get more than these few things as your answers, if you try to get everything with wheels on it in the world on one piece of paper using yes/no questions, the font would be like 0.001 font, or your piece of paper would be enormous. So the advantage of a key is that you can have multiple pages and you don't have to make the font tiny to do it. So, but it is less obvious, it is less intuitive, it is just as easy once you know how it works, which is, let's use the key to identify the tricycle. So we're going to start with the number ones. 1 prime, 1 double prime, 1 triple prime. And you'll recognize the questions, it's about the numbers of wheels. Now, you might think that you just start with 1 and then you go to 2 and you go to 3. Oh, there is no 3. And then you go to 4. That is not how it works. So we'll start off with 1 prime, etc. Does it have exactly 1 wheel?
No.
Does it have exactly 2 wheels?
No.
Does it have exactly 3 wheels?
Yes.
Yes. Where's your guess where we go next? 2? Should we go to 2? 6. You go to the thing that's directly under the question you just answered yes to. So that is 6 and 6 prime. That's really important. Anybody have a question about where we go after we answer a particular question? Directly under the one you just answered yes to. So 6 and 6 prime. 6 is, does it have handlebars?
Yes.
Yes. So therefore it is a tricycle. Our other question was, is it motorized? And that would give us a 3-wheeled car or an airplane. So that's how a key works. Do we have any questions on how we follow through a key? Pardon me? How do you decide on the numbers?
Yeah.
They're really arbitrary.
Okay.
So long as the same number is the questions at the same level, these numbers could have been anything. It's just by convention that you start with 1, go to 2. But I skipped 3 on purpose here to show you it doesn't matter. This could be 106 rather than 6. Okay, so this printed on in the book is readable, but we're not going to do that because it's not readable on the screen. So what we're going to ID is a commonly cultivated pine, which is in your handout. And the nice thing actually about the key, this is the key that's in the book from. If anybody came up from this tab to this tab, this is the many pages that are the key, and it gets you not to genus but to species as well. Questions? Okay. Okay. So, with pines, we need some specialized vocabulary too. Not as much as before. So, a very important ID feature of pines is whether or not the needles are in bundles. And a bundle is like this, a number of needles packaged together in a bract, and then those bundles are on the branch. Or if they're not in a bundle, if they occur one at a time. So bundles and the number of needles in a bundle are very important. And the next important thing is of the pine cone. This part is called the cone scale, and the very end of it may or may not have a little bit of material here that may or may not be sharp, and that's called the prickle. And there'll be a question whether the prickle is blunt, rounded, sharp. It'll be described in English. And the next important thing to note is the seed and the seed wing, and the length of the seed wing compared to the seed. That is a problem though, because What are pine nuts? Seeds of a pine tree. Seeds of pine trees are delicious. And sometimes you'll see them, but really not very often. So as an ID feature, that's a problem. And we're going to talk about what happens when you don't have one. And how you can deal with that kind of uncertainty. And there's a picture of the seed with its attached seed wing. Okay, so we are going to identify this pine. So we start at the top with 1 and 1 prime. So 1 is, are there 2 needles per bundle? 1 prime is needles more than 2 per bundle. And so we take a close look and we see 2 leaves per bundle, 2 needles per bundle. Next question will be the 2 and 2 prime. So you go directly under 1 and you find 2. So you read 2 and 2 prime. 2 is needles mostly less than 3 inches long. 2 prime needles mostly 3 inches long or more. And our needle is 3, just a little bit more than 3. So needles mostly 3 inches long or more. And so I heard Pam say we go to 4 and 4 prime. So 4 is seed wing shorter than seed. The tree crown is rounded, which that would give us Italian stone pine. Well, this was my tree and I never saw a seed. My critters, I guess, were very efficient in getting the seeds. So I don't know. So I'm going to go up there and look at my tree. So this is an Italian stone pine with its rounded crown. This is a tree we're trying to ID. So I don't think so, but well, okay, let's look at the next one to see if that makes more sense. That'd be seed wing longer than seed, tree shape varying. Maybe. So we go to 5 and 5 prime. Cones fallen from tree at maturity with old cones not found on branches, or 5 prime, old branches with many cones. So we look up, and so we see that there's cones that are still tight, that's this year's cones that have opened up, and there's a lot up there. So our answer is 5 prime. Cones persisting on tree for many years. Okay. Now there's a question about the cone scale, which is part of the pine cone. So is it scale rounded without a prickle, or does it have a small prickle? So we look at the cone, and if you run your finger along here, it's rounded. And so that takes us to Aleppo pine, which matches the tree that we're looking at, much more than the Italian stone pine. So we say, okay, we've got an Aleppo pine. So that's how a key works. There are also online resources. The urban tree key asks questions that are very similar. It asks, does it have palm fronds, palm-like, leaves, needles or scales? So this, on the inside of your handbook, your handout, it's got this resource. This is, if you're sitting at home with your computer, this is really useful. So let's go through and do this tree that we all know. So our leaves are compound, pinnate or palmate? Pinnate, bipinnate? Bipinnate. Okay. So what kind of leaves does it have? Does it have needles or scales? Does it have palm fronds? Palm-like fronds? Leaves. Does it have teeny tiny little leaves or normal sized leaves? Normal sized leaves, which, that's kind of a judgment call, but it's not these pine-like structures. Is it compound or simple? I choose compound. Is it palmate, pinnate, or bipinnate? Bipinnate. Are the leaves alternate or opposite? So we look at our leaf and they are opposite. We choose opposite and we come up with either jacaranda or Catalina ironwood. And so at this point you'd be looking at the picture and goes, that doesn't look anything like my leaf. That looks like my leaf. So it is a jacaranda tree. Let's do this one. This is actually a case in, I believe, it's San Luis Obispo, where there are these leaning trees. And in San Luis Obispo, you are not allowed to take out a tree without proving that there's some sort of problem with it. And a certified arborist came up and said that there's a big problem with this kind of tree and it should be removed. And it went back and forth. Matt Ritter was involved, and it turns out that that's not a problem with the tree. It's more of a feature. They're cool. Okay, so palm fronds, palm-like leaves, needles or scales. Needles or scales. So we look more closely. Those are scales. Those count as scales. So we choose scales. And the question is it columnar? Is it tall like a column? Or is it these varied shapes?
Trying to be.
Which gives us a choice of Italian cypress or Cook Island pine. And right here on tree leaning. So that is just what this tree does. And according to Ritter, they all bend to the south of this hemisphere and to the north. I don't remember, but they bend. Cook Island pine. And there's, as you follow the links, for more information, go to select tree here, and that gives you even more information on the tree. The other thing that select tree can do for you is, let's say you don't have a tree you're trying to ID, you have a situation where you want a particular kind of tree, a particular height, maybe it's under power lines and you don't want it to grow up into the power lines. Maybe you want to attract wildlife. There's lots of different things that you might want in a tree, and rather than going through your books and leafing through and trying to find something that fits what your requirements are, select tree really helps you. So you go through and you click off the things that you are interested in. Are you planting near power lines? Are you interested in fire resistance, etc., etc., etc.? And you click them off, the things that you want, and more things that you want, and it'll come up with, in this case, the things that I put in, it came up with 17 trees that I could choose from, which is a whole lot better than all the trees in all the books. So you could look at it and decide whether, I'd rather have a ceanothus or a manzanita, whatever would work for you for the situation that you're looking for. How many are on Facebook? Good number. Plant Idents is a really useful site. It's also on your handbook. You'll upload a picture of whatever it is that you're interested in, and there's people from literally around the world apparently sitting at the computers doing nothing but waiting for me to upload pictures. And you get answers about what it is, and there'll be debate about, is it this cultivar or that cultivar, and people have opinions on, oh, that one has really invasive roots. You get a lot of interesting talk about the plant that you want to ID. So, and that's not just for trees, it's for any plant.
So if we were on the hotline and somebody asked us to identify a tree and we couldn't, can we refer them to this? Is this considered a legitimate resource?
That's a real good question, and I'm actually going to address part of this when I talk about resources this afternoon. We have to be very cautious with regards to where the information is coming from. To give you one example, there was a company that actually was based here in San Diego, and they were doing plant identification and online. I think it was some kind of an act. Remember, I'm not the ticket person. And if they could not identify it, it was automatically being sent to the Master Gardener program in that county. And this was all done without the knowledge of the local program or our state program. So we just started receiving dozens of these identifications. And so there are many quality, as what Don is presenting to us today, apps that are out there, but we do need to be cautious in providing that information to the community. We can use it ourselves, identify it, confirm that what it is, but putting it out there as a trusted resource, if it's coming from Cal Poly, I would say yes. If it's coming from some other agency that we're not aware of, we need to be a little bit more questionable. Cal Poly is not UC, but Cal Poly is a very trustworthy higher education program.
Okay. Anybody download the app?
Yes.
Yes? Did you try it out?
Yep.
Yep, did it work?
Kind of.
Kind of?
Well, like you said, there was a bug.
There is a bug in the Android.
It could be my phone, but it froze, but I got so far.
Yeah, so it is useful for what it is. It's called City Tree. It's in the email that Scott sent out on Saturday. Thank you, Scott, for working on Saturday. $3.99 for iPhones, which, so far as I know, is bug-free, free for Androids, but at least as of the time that I took the workshop, there's a significant bug. I took my phone down to Matt Ritter in the front and I said, well, it's just taking me in the circle over and over. And he said, no, it's not. And he pulled it up on his iPhone. I'm like, they're different. So I don't know if that's been fixed. But anyway, let us go through and let's pretend that there are no bugs. So let us do our good old jacaranda tree.
Nice picture.
So after you load the app onto your phone and you fire it up, these are this is the first screen of questions. And again, we're going to start at the bottom. Does it have palm-like leaves? Is it a palm? Is it a conifer? So that leaves broadleaf trees. Now, that's kind of a confusing question because those leaflets, which the average person using the app probably considers a leaf, they don't look very broad to me. But it doesn't fit any of these. So that's a broadleaf tree. Next question that we have down pat, right? And they give us pictures, which is really cool. So, are the leaves compound, divided into leaflets? Or are they leaves simple, with undivided blades, deeply lobed leaves are still simple? Sound familiar? Yes. Okay, so our answer is compound, so you touch the screen there. Palmately compound, pinnately, or bipinnately compound? Bipinnate. How many per node? Two. The leaves touched oppositely, 2 per node. Bipinnately compound, twice divided, or pinnate, once divided? Twice divided. Leaves with greater than 10 pairs of primary leaflets, or less than 5 pairs of primary leaflets? And this could really trip up somebody who hasn't just sat through this hour and a half of definitions. So what do we say?
More.
It's more than, because if you look at, so these are the primary leaflets, the ones with the smaller leaflets attached. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they're way more than 5. So, touch here, top of the screen. And it takes you to, yay, it worked. Any questions?
Looks like it's done right here in San Diego.
And there it is in the wilds of South America. Okay, so let's do this tree. What the heck is this 3D paint tree? Look at that screen. It's really pink.
I know, I was thinking, why is it?
And it has these interesting Oh, seed pods. Did somebody have this tree? Yes, you got this tree? Somebody had this tree. Okay, so let's go through the app and see if it works. And there's when the seed pod opens. And do we remember what that fiber is used for? Life jackets, mattresses. Okay, so there are the leaves. So up here, we see this one. So this leaf is simple or compound? Palmate or pinnate? And how many do we have at a node? One. Okay, so now we're smarter. So now we can go directly to broadleaf trees. Compound or simple? Compound. Palmately compound? Yes. How many leaflets? 5 or more. Are the leaves alternate or opposite or whorled?
Alternate.
They're alternate because there's one per node. And here they really could have said one leaf attached at a time, 2 or more leaves attached at a time. They didn't have the space considerations as a flow chart, so if I was ready though. If I ran the world. Okay, leaf margin. Serrate or smooth? Serrate. And the other word for smooth is? Entire. And so that takes us to the floss silk tree, which is a gorgeous tree. Okay, let's do some conifers now using our app. So let's do the same tree again. So it's not a broadleaf tree, it's a conifer. And now here's questions about what we just had this morning, the all-like. Where do we have? Scale-like or all-like. So this is what scale-like leaves would look like, kind of like fish scales. All-like leaves would be these little triangular leaves that are considered all-like. Narrow, triangular, flat, and sharp pointed. Not happening on that one. Okay, but our leaves look like needles, because they are needles. So we choose needle. Can everybody at least see the two TV screens? Because today apparently is another day for technical difficulties. Okay, so these are all like leaves, but what we have are needle-like leaves. So our question, our answer to the first one, that doesn't work. Our answer to the first one, scale-like or all-like, is no. Needle-like, 3/4 inch long or longer. We remember that. Or leaves absent or minute. So no, we go to this. Needle-like, 3/4 inch long and longer. And next question, needle-like structure is actually jointed. Who's got this? Thank you. It takes a feather. Okay. Can anybody see it though? I can see it. No. Almost. Okay. Are the needle-like structures actually jointed ribbed branches? Or are they unjointed leaves? They're unjointed leaves. And we look at them and they're just, they're not segments. It's a pine needle, the kind of pine needle that you probably grew up with. Are they clustered in bundles or are they singly not in bundles? They're bundles. So we touch the top. Clusters of 2 to 5 or 10 or more? 2 to 5. 2 to 5. 2 or more than 2? 2. 2. Mostly less than 3 inches, mostly more than 3 inches? More. So now this brings us to the question we don't know the answer to. And so we touch this one because, you know, it's the top and we don't know the answer. And we look at our tree and we go, I don't think so. So you use the back button on your phone or your tablet. And then you can touch this, the seed wing longer than the seed. And the next question, remember that? Tree crown rounded. This is out of order. Okay, the question about the cones. The cones stay on.
No.
Rounded, no prickle. Without a prickle. And so that takes us to our Aleppo pine. And it can, after doing that, we can go to more info right here on your phone or tablet, and it takes you to the same information that we saw before, the select tree info. So this gets us to the end of the non-hands-on portion. There's a question for you. This book, Matt Ritter, works at San Luis Obispo, at Cal Poly, and there's a lot of Northern California, Central California trees in the book. There are some Southern California trees that are missing from the book, as well as all fruit trees. I don't know if there's any fruit trees in the book. So if you find a tree that is a common Southern California tree, and you see that it is not in the key or the flow chart or the app, if you would email that to me, because I'm compiling a list to make a request for him for the next edition.
Don, what's the name of the app again?
City Tree.
In Google Play, you gotta go down a little bit. It's on that 7.
She says you have to go down in Google Play to find it. But City, C-I-T-Y, Tree, T-R-E-E.
Oh, CIT.